Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Today we will be covering some verses from Surah Al-An'am. There's verses 96 to 101. This is just going to be an English translation with a commentary from Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. These verses have been selected for the Talim al-Quran class, which we have been covering in our weekly classes, which I have been covering the last verse, the last final verses, chapters of the Holy Quran. And now I'm going to be covering some new verses from selected chapters in the Holy Quran, which are according to the Talim program. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله فالق الحب إن الله فالق الحب والنوى يخرج الحي من الميت ومخرج الميت من الحي ذلكم الله فأنى تؤفكون. This is Surah Al-An'am, verse 96. Translation in English is, Verily, it is Allah who causes the grain and the date stone to sprout. He brings forth the living from the dead, and He is the bringer forth of the dead from the living. That is Allah, wherefore then are you turned back? Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, in the 5-volume commentary in English, says on this verse, the Quran now proceeds to give arguments from nature to prove the need of revelation and divine guidance. Firstly, the attention of man is drawn to the seeds and stones from which trees sprout. How insignificant is the seed, but how it grows and develops into a big tree. Similarly, you look upon man as a contemptible thing and say Allah has not revealed anything to any man. This is from chapter 6, verses 92. But man also, whom you imagine to be so despicable, is like a seed and is capable of growing into something great. The words he brings forth the living from the dead signify that not often noble and great men are born of low and ill-bred parents. Why then do you wonder and think it impossible that a righteous man should rise spiritually and become recipient of divine favors? Your God has made man after the manner of a seed. He has endowed him with many faculties and has made him capable of great progress. Why do you not then understand and see the truth? In this verse, we can understand that how Allah has shown the natural phenomenon that from such small things and insignificant things grow great trees and great fruit. And this is a simile of the fact that great and noble men can also come from very meager backgrounds or societies. And this was something that all the prophets, that when they came out, they faced with different types of opposition. But the Holy Prophet ﷺ, especially being an Arab, was ridiculed, and the Arabs were ridiculed that how can they be being in their time, especially in front of the Persian nation, they were looked down upon because they were not culturally and economically a superior nation. And in our day and age, we can see that the prophet which rose in the Indian subcontinent, a man who is of Punjabi background, has risen as a prophet in the Arabs. They look at that and they think that the person in the subcontinent, how can he be someone risen and for us and give us the guidance and bring back the illustrious name of Islam. So this verse reminds us of that thing that, and we should never look at a thing or person and think that there isn't an ability inside, a possibility to help out or to see that that person or nation can rise to some greatness, even though it may look like they're coming from something of a backward nation. فَلِكُ الْإِصْبَاحِ وَجَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ سَكَنًا وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ حُسْبَانًا ذَلِكَ تَقْدِيرُ الْعَزِيزِ الْعَلِيمِ. He causes the break of day, and he made the night for rest, and the sun and the moon for reckoning time. That is the decree of the mighty, the wise. Under the important words, husbana, which is reckoning, is the non-infinitive from hasba, and they say hasbuhu, that is, he numbered or counted or reckoned it. Husbanu means numbering, counting, or reckoning. Also punishment, calamity, or affliction with which a man is tried. The revolving firmament. So in the commentary, Hazrat Masih Maud says that the words "he causes the break of day" signify that just as God causes the dawn to break, that is, the night to change into day, similarly, he brings men from spiritual darkness into light. He takes them out of the darkness of disbelief and sin into the light of faith and virtue. And then he goes on to say in the commentary that the words "he made the night for rest" signify that just as a man who works during the day gets tired and goes to sleep at night and then gets refreshed, similarly, the people among whom the Holy Prophet ﷺ made his appearance had had a long night of rest, and so their powers had been renewed. The Holy Prophet ﷺ had made his appearance when the time was ripe for it, and when the people, with their powers refreshed, were best fitted for work and could benefit most by his advent. They were now full of energy and well able to ascend the heights of spirituality under his lead. And so it actually happened. By referring to the sun and the moon in this verse, the Quran draws the attention of the deniers of revelation to the fact that, just as in the physical world, the sun and the moon are indispensable, being measures of time and sources of light, so are the prophets of God indispensable in the spiritual world. So when we read the Holy Quran, we are enlightened about certain things, and it helps us to erase certain misunderstandings we may see, or we may feel that when the so-called night comes, where here it's referring to a time when nations are going down and they are, as it were, sleeping, meaning that they are not using their energies towards goodness. And when we see the nations turning towards they're turning away from goodness, and we sometimes can't understand the logic and can't understand the meaning, and we may lose our faith in God. We may lose our true hope in this world. But here we can understand by this and this verse from the Holy Quran, and how it has been enlightened to us through the Khulafa, that here Hazrat Muslim Maud Ta'ala Anhu has given us the understanding to make it clear to us that these times, the nations, when they turn away from righteousness, they are in fact recharging their, as it were, batteries, so that they can be fully ready when the time comes. So when a nation is sleeping and is turned away, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are completely gone or lost. It may be that a nation is going to turn around at some point, and this is what we saw from the from the nation that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam rose out from, and how quickly he transformed it, and how vigorated and refreshed they looked, and how they transformed the world around them. وهو الذي جعل لكم النجوم لتهتدوا بها في ظلمات البر والبحر قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يعلمون. This is verse 98 from Surah Al-An'am, and the translation is, and he it is who has made the stars for you that you may follow the right direction with their help amid the deep darkness of the land and the sea. We have explained the signs in detail for a people who possess knowledge. In the commentary, Hazrat Muslim Maud writes that the argument embodied in this verse runs like this: when God has made stars for guidance during the hours of the night in the physical world, would he make no stars for the guidance of man in the spiritual world? The spiritual welfare of man is much more important than his physical welfare. So when God has created means of guidance for the temporal welfare of man, does it not stand to reason that he should have also provided means for the spiritual guidance of erring humanity? وهو الذي أنشأكم من نفس واحدة فمستقر ومستودع قد فصلنا الآيات لقوم يَفْقَهُونَ. This is verse 99 from Surah Al-An'am. The translation in English is, and he it is who has produced you from a single person, and there is for you a home and a lodging. We have explained the signs in detail for a people who understand. So under the important words, Hazrat Muslim Maud has pointed out here that Aisha'kum, which translates as has produced you. The word Aisha is derived from Nasha, which means he lived, he rose or became high or elevated, he grew up, it became produced or originated. Aisha means he created, produced, or originated, he raised or lifted. And then Mustaqarrun, which is translated as home, is derived from karra, which means he or it settled or became firm or fixed or established, or he or it remained or continued in a place, or he or it rested, or he or it became still or quiet or stationary. And istaqara means the same meaning as above. It also means it subsisted. And mustaqarrun means place or time or settledness or a performance and countenance. That is a home, also a resting place. And continuing in the important words, the word mustada'un, lodging, which is translated as lodging, is derived from wa'da or wa'dua, which means he or it became still, quiet, or at rest. Wa'da means he left off the thing. Wadda'hu means he bade him for farewell. He forsook or deserted him. Astawda malan means he entrusted him with property for safe custody. Mustawda'un means a depository, a place of safety or security, womb, or the part of the body in which the child lies before its birth. The expression mustaqarrun or home and mustawda'un lodging, besides giving distinct and independent meanings, are also sometimes used to give identical meanings, being interchangeable. The Quran says, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مُسْتَقَرٌّ, that is, and we cause what we will to remain in the wombs, chapter 22, verses 6. And it says, وَنُقِرُّ فِي الْأَرْحَامِ مَا نَشَاءُ, that is, and for you there is an abode in the earth, chapter 2, verses 37. From these two verses, it appears that according to the Quran, the womb of the mother and the earth, though places of temporary residence, are each a mustaqarrun, that is a resting place or a home for men or humanity. Corresponding to these, the womb may be called a mustawda'un, that is a lodging or a depository. The next world is truly a mustaqarrun, that is a home for man. In fact, these are really relative terms, the same place being both a mustaqarrun and a mustawda'un in reference to different things. Again, a place may be called a mustaqarrun, home, because one stays therein, and it may be called a mustawda'un, a lodging, because it provides security. And the verse signifies that when God has multiplied humanity out of one individual, it could not be without a purpose. The great object for which he has created and multiplied human beings is that he has appointed for them not only a period of residence on this earth, but also an everlasting life beyond the grave, where the righteous will meet the Lord, a lofty goal to which they can rise under the guidance of divine messengers. So, brothers and sisters, it's something that we should ponder over when we read these verses of the Holy Quran. May Allah help us to understand deeply the purpose of our being created in this world, and understand that this world is a temporary home, but there will be another home, a home of security, which is and peace, which is going to be everlasting. And we can enter into that if we reform ourselves and we change ourselves. These are the reasons why we have Quran class, in which why we read the Holy Quran and try to understand it with the meaning, so that we can ponder over, and it can go deep into our psyche and into our thoughts, and also ultimately go into change our being, so that our lives can change and we can do something better in this world, and Allah can show us forgiveness and guidance. Inshallah, we'll continue with this commentary. There still are 2 more verses to cover according to the syllabus. Inshallah, I'll do that in my next class. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.